Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in today's video, we're going to be going over all the stuff that has gone wrong with specifically video in the special housing unit. There's some stuff out there that I think that people are missing, especially the first thing that I'm going to go over here today. But I want to give everybody a really good idea of just how screwed up something as simple as video inside of a prison facility can be surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein case, which we pay our tax dollars. We pay billions and billions of tax dollars. We pay trillions of tax dollars. And for some reason, the federal government can't even do something as simple as record video within a high security facility like the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, New York. So let's get right into it. The first thing that I want to cover that most people don't know about is what I call the Tartaglione incident. Now, this was an incident between Jeffrey Epstein and his second to last cellmate, a guy named Nicholas Tartaglione. And most people don't know this, but in the original Office of the Inspector General's report, it is reported that Epstein initially told MCC New York staff that his cellmate tried to kill him. Not only that, but it's reported that when news agencies went in and interviewed people, that many of them had been told the same thing by Epstein himself, that his cellmate had tried to murder him in the middle of the night. And then for some reason, of course, as we know, this was changed to Epstein being suicidal, and then Epstein somehow got off of suicide watch in 6 days because something about being in a high security prison lockup facility is just so joyful that he was able to recover from his depression in a record 6 days. But here's the really interesting part about this. Due to the fact that this cellmate was already locked up for strangling and murdering somebody and then murdering 3 other people, which, wow, that's a really interesting pick out of dozens of people to put with Epstein, by the way. Due to all that, Tartaglione's lawyer tried to get the special housing unit video for that time period so that he could exonerate his client for any wrongdoing whatsoever in this incident with Epstein, where Epstein, it was kind of looking like maybe this guy tried to strangle him the way he tried to strangle a guy that tried to screw him on a drug deal that got him in here in the first place. Well, you know what happened is that initially the government told Tartaglione's lawyer that they had the video, but then after like a week or so, the prosecutors came back and they were like, oh, sorry, due to a clerical error, that videotape was deleted. So even 2 weeks prior to Epstein's death, we already have an instance where video in the special housing unit got deleted somehow. And you know what this is, right? This is destruction of evidence. This video, depending on what really happened with Epstein, would either prove that Tartaglione was guilty of trying to murder him, or that the government is conspiring to cover this thing up, which we now know is true, thanks to Ro Khanna. But let's go ahead and move on to my second point here. We move forward just a few days to where we see that half of the cameras in the entire facility actually go down. And this is funny because it was actually July 29th, 2 weeks prior to Epstein's death, that these cameras went down, and for some reason, they could not expedite a technician to get out there. And even once the technician did get out there, there was a scheduling error that resulted in there being nobody to escort this technician to the server room or to the cameras so that he could fix them. And somehow in that 2-week span, nobody noticed that the technician who was going to fix half the cameras in the entire fucking building would have nobody to escort him. And you'd think you would put more priority on something so important because you're dealing with all kinds of really terrible people in this facility, really high stakes crime, and there is a ton of liability in a facility like this, and you need cameras rolling. This is something that they do at fucking Walmart. Why is it that retail stores can have more reliable camera systems than a federal facility, a high security lockup facility? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And the second half of this point that I want to make was that yes, the guards that were supposed to be watching over Epstein and checking in on him every 30 minutes did not check up on him for 8 fucking hours. It says here 3 hours. That's the time that they said that they had fallen asleep for. They actually didn't check on him for a total of 8 hours. So they missed 16 checkups. And then both of these guards falsified the records to hide the fact that they were not checking in on Epstein for a total of 8 hours. And originally it did seem like they said they were asleep. And then it later came out that, oh, well, they just didn't check on him. They just didn't go to his cell for 8 hours and check on him. That's actually what happened. And you know what happened to these guards who were originally charged with felonies for falsifying records? The federal judge who was overseeing their case eventually just dismissed these charges. I think they ended up getting like a fine and then like some community service, and then they had to like write a statement about what they had seen that night or what happened. But a complete slap on the wrist for what should have been, according to the federal government, a minimum 5-year sentence. Here I asked ChatGPT what the penalties for a crime like that are. It says 5 years in federal prison per per count and a maximum fine of up to $250,000. Now, I can tell you for a fact the fine wasn't anywhere close to that. And of course, they escaped the 5-year sentence. And then I point out in the top bullet point here, I just thought I'd include this, the maximum sentence for federal tax evasion, if you or I don't pay our taxes, is 5 years in federal prison per count. That's the maximum sentence. The maximum fine is $100,000 per count. So what these two guards did is much more serious because the minimum is 5 years in federal prison for their charge, but we see that these two guards were just simply let off the hook. And I'd really love to know why that is, considering that it was just so blatantly obvious that they slipped up, they lied, and it resulted in Epstein either committing suicide, being murdered, or being extracted from the prison by a crew of people. Because at this point, I don't put anything past the government. We know for a fact they're lying now. And now I'm going to move on to the third point of the video, where I want to talk about the SHU video that they put out last year in June. The one that really sparked this fire within the first 5 months of Donald Trump's presidency. This is the video that was put out by the DOJ and the FBI that had a whole shit ton of problems with it. First of all, we found out that the video was edited. Metadata showed that the FBI's raw Jeffrey Epstein prison video was actually modified. And this Reddit post came out likely in the very first week after the video was released, because then we did find out, the guys at Wired found out that is, that yes, in fact, it was altered. The Jeffrey Epstein prison video that they put out had 3 minutes cut out, and it was originally estimated to be about 1 minute cut out. And then we had Pam Bondi come out like 2 days later and lie to our fucking faces and say that it was just something that happened every single night since 1999 because the camera systems were old. She just made up a bunch of fucking bullshit and just slung it straight to our faces. But then it turns out, yes, actually there's 3 minutes. So it's not 1 minute, it's 3 minutes that were cut out of this video. But those weren't the only things that were wrong with the video. Back in 2019, after Jeffrey Epstein died, we had Attorney General William Barr, who was in the position that Pam Bondi is in now in Trump's first presidency term, where he said that he did a personal review of all the footage and he told everybody that it clearly showed that nobody entered the area. Well, that was fucking wrong too, because when they put out this video, we saw that at least 2 people came in and out of this area, and we still don't know who they are. They still haven't given us the identities of these people. In the first instance, we had somebody in an orange fucking jumpsuit ascend the staircase to where Epstein's cell door was directly to the right of the top of the stairs. We have somebody here in this orange jumpsuit climbing up the stairs like a prisoner. Well, we were told that nobody was moving in or out of this area, that nobody was walking around, and yet here we go. Here's somebody right here going up the staircase dressed in orange. Who the fuck is that? How come they don't know? What is going on? Not only that, but then we had some lady come in. Here she is entering. We have no idea who this is. And she talks with the guard, who we believe is Nova Toel, the one at the desk down there. And then after a few minutes of doing that and talking with Nova Toel, she decides to leave. And we got her nice and up and close to the camera right here, walking out through this door. But yet we still have no answers as to who this is. Okay, so we have the Tartaglione incident, in which Tartaglione's own attorney asks for the footage of the special housing unit during the time in which Epstein had his, murder attempt on his life and or he tried to kill himself, and they said they had it, and then they said it got deleted. Then we had the fact that the cameras went down, there was only 2 working. This issue persisted for 2 weeks for some reason, and then nobody could even get the technician to where he needed to be after those 2 weeks in this high security facility where liability is absolutely paramount for your own protection and the protection of your inmates who are in your custody, as well as the fact that the judge just decided to dismiss the charges against the 2 guards who falsified their records. And then we have the video that we got last year in June from the FBI and the DOJ, which was proven to be put through a video editor, even though they said, even on their own website, by the way, it says raw video. We proved that it was likely put through a video editor such as Adobe Premiere, and then it was proven that 3 minutes were missing, which, by the way, we still have absolutely no answers on. They have not addressed the 3-minute issue in the video. It has gone completely unacknowledged, like a rotting carcass out in the sun. And then when we finally got the video last year, it was Attorney General William Barr, who worked for Trump in his first term, was completely proven wrong and completely proven to be lying when we saw 2 people come in and out of this area. And I'm not done yet, actually, because I actually have a 4th point. Take a look at this document, guys. Somebody found this yesterday. What you're looking at is a statement from the Manhattan U.S. Attorney on the death of defendant Jeffrey Epstein. This is a document that was put out for immediate release that did end up getting put out on August 10th, the day that Epstein was found dead. But look at this. This is a draft of that document. This document is dated Friday, August 9th, 2019, the day before Epstein was found dead. What the fuck is this? Did they seriously draft a notice of Epstein's death a day before he was found dead? This is the same court, by the way, that is protecting all of the co-conspirators, that is sitting on evidence that shows that they conspired to sex traffic with Jeffrey Epstein, and that have also decided to give absolutely no comment when asked why they won't be charging these co-conspirators. The Southern District Court of New York is fucking protecting all of these pedophiles and their co-conspirators. And so I just thought I would throw that giant sack of stinky shit out there because this is making the rounds and this is a big fucking deal. Why would you be writing this the day before Jeffrey Epstein died? It literally says, earlier this morning, the Manhattan Correctional Center confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein, who faced charges brought by this office of engaging in the sex trafficking of minors, had been found unresponsive in his cell and pronounced dead shortly thereafter. He wasn't pronounced dead until like noon the next day. They found him at 6:30 a.m. on August 10th, and they had to take him to a hospital where a doctor ended up pronouncing him dead. And now we see here that this document was created the day before. Guys, this cover-up is fucking falling apart. I'm telling you, they are losing control of this issue. We absolutely cannot trust this government, especially the federal government, but also the state governments who are now complicit in this cover-up. The New York state government and the Florida state government. They are lying to our faces. They are sick, sociopathic child molesters. The cover-up is insanely obvious. And if I had one message to everybody involved in this cover-up since 2005, it would be that we the people are coming for you. And so that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.